If you've been around the internet, a basketball court, or really anywhere to be honest, you've probably heard of a guy named Stephen Curry and his incredible three-point shooting ability. What you might not know is that the three-point shot hasn't always been around. In fact, if you look at the sport of basketball, the three-point shot is relatively a new thing. This is the three-point shot explained. Technically, the three-point shot is 23 feet 9 inches from the basket at the top of the key in the NBA, 20 feet 9 inches in the NCAA, and for high school, it's 19 feet 9 inches. But before we talk about all of that, let's get some quick history. The NBA didn't adopt the three-point shot until the 79-80 season. Before that, the three-point line was a part of the ABA when it was first introduced in the 67-68 season. But before that, the three-pointer was part of the American Basketball League, which started in 1961, but was dissolved after a year. Now, if you want to go all the way back to the beginning, the NCAA is actually credited with testing the three-point shot in 1945 in a game between Columbia and Fordham, but for whatever reason, they didn't keep it as a rule. Now, all this talk about the three-point shot leads to one thing. Why? Well, there are a lot of theories about the three-point line, but the one that seems to get the most respect is because the game of basketball simply needed a change. Before the three-point line, players would basically get the ball to their big man down low and let him do all of the work. It was so bad that there was talk of making the dunk, or dunk shot as they called it back then, illegal, and the NCAA actually made the dunk illegal from 1967 to 1976. Yep. Quick side note, this rule is sometimes referred to as the Lew Alcindor rule. Lew Alcindor is now known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who you probably know, who is basically the guy that made the most unstoppable shot in basketball, the skyhook. Okay, back to the three-point shot. Players were starting to rely on the big man too much in the game of basketball, and the game was starting to be played right around the net. As a result, the three-point shot was used in the ABA to make the game more dynamic and gave guys that couldn't dunk all the time a more important role in the game. As I mentioned earlier, the NBA didn't officially take on the three-point shot until the 79-80 season after they merged with the ABA, who actually used the three-point shot as a way to differentiate themselves from the NBA. Now, on the opening night, October 12, 1979, it is said that Chris Ford of the Boston Celtics is credited with hitting the first three-pointer in NBA history. So what does all this have to do with Stephen Curry? Well, Stephen Curry is the type of player that this rule was made for. He isn't going to be the guy that dunks every play, and he isn't going to play down low. Just as effective as Shaq was with the ball in the post, Curry is with the ball behind the arc.
And I mean way behind the arc.
He, without a doubt, makes the game more dynamic and has quite possibly made the three-point shot the most exciting shot in the game of basketball. Stephen is so lethal at the three-point line, he has reached the point of where it's almost better for him to shoot threes. He is 35 of 52 from 28 to 50 feet. That is 105 points. If he made all 52 of those shots as layups, that would be only 104 points. Think about that. In the first few years, most players didn't utilize the three-point shot, and it was thought of more as a gimmick than a vital part of the game. For comparison's sake, in the very first All-Star game in which the three-point shot was allowed, Larry Bird was the only person who made one of the 6 shots taken. In the 2016 All-Star game, there were 165 three-point shot attempts and 50 of those were made. That's a 2,650% increase. As many of you know, the three-point shot is a vital part of any basketball team in the world today. In fact, guys like Steph Curry, Dame Lillard, Klay Thompson, and James Harden are changing the way that people look at the game of basketball. Just imagine if LeBron James shot from behind the arc like one of those guys. He would literally be unstoppable. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, has even mentioned moving the line back simply because it's too close. But is it really too close? While the average three-point percentage has gone up over the years, no doubt, it is still only 35%. That leaves you with a 1 in 3 chance of making the three, so it isn't exactly an easy shot to make. And speaking of LeBron, he has said flat out that he isn't a three-point shooter and it's not what his game is about. For a guy as talented and as gifted as LeBron to say that, it tells you that guys like Dame and Stephen are exceptions to the rule. Overall, the NBA and the three-point line have a long way to go. It's a big deal right now, but no one knows if it'll always be a big part of the game. One thing we do know, it has definitely made the game more exciting over the last few years. With that being said, I want to know, what do you think? Should the NBA move the three-point line further back? Or what about adding something that I heard about, a 4-point shot? Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. I am Jacques Slade. This is just a little bit of basketball history about the three-point line and Stephen Curry. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace. Made them shine. leading to the fact that Tinker Hatfield actually designed these, and he has said on several occasions that this shoe is actually his favorite shoe. And before I left, Jordan Brand dropped these off to me and gave me a little gift, so I wanted to show these to you guys because they actually released later this year. So